That was some grade A bull. That was messed up. That was one of the most messed up things I think I've seen, because here's the thing. At first, I didn't really clue into the fact that he was suffocating, that Fushi was suffocating, because there was just so much uncertainty in general about the episode, but the fact that naturally he would have lost air anyway, but the fact that because he kept going into Gugu's form to breathe fire in hopes that he could melt the iron away, he actually removed all the air prior to the molten lava literally pouring on him. On one hand, you have to admit, it is an effective way to seal off an immortal, someone who apparently can live forever, and you're considering a demon. Trapping them in solid iron is probably the best you could do if you actually want to trap them. The eye does wake up after like 38 hours or something. I forget, because he counted in seconds, the watcher. I think it was like 38 hours, 36 hours, something like that. You literally seal him. So like as he regenerates, you see the skin reform. Like that is one of the most brutal ways to die over and over, because here's the thing with burning alive. Eventually, you lose your pain sensors, so it's insanely bad way to go at first, but eventually you stop feeling anything and, it's more or less just waiting for the inevitable. But with Fushi being able to regenerate, those pain sensors keep coming in and coming in and coming in, and by the time it hardens up, he's just trapped inside. And I don't know how you get out of that. I mean, can he himself? Probably not. I think someone needs to crack it open for him. But that is one of the sickest ways I think I've ever seen someone suffer in this show. And I think for Fushi, willingly giving himself up, trying to protect Bond, because why should he put others in harm's way? He's been captured so many times. For Fushi, he probably just assumed that he could escape as per usual, and then they throw him in this iron prison that is sealed and he can't escape. And holy shit, what a wild roller coaster. Now, full live reaction available on the Patreon. I was definitely shocked, to say the least, in certain key points of this episode. But that is just, it's so good that 3 for 3. You start with the whole Bond reveal of him seeing the dead. You then confirm Fushi can revive the dead, and then you brutally kill my boy Fushi over and over like this, and I'm like, to your eternity, you gotta slow down. This is hands down the best arc you've ever shown us, and I don't think that's an exaggeration. Season 2 is just already taking it a step above, and I remember when Season 1 ended, I had some people say, like, Season 2 will be next level, even better than what came in this season, and at first I was like, I don't know, man, like, I already was considering Season 1 to be a masterpiece, but yeah, it really does feel next level, and I don't know where you go, man, because I thought the direction they were going to go was Toto would be the first one to be revived, because, I mean, it looked like Toto got stabbed, but lucky for Toto, there was some padding there that ended up saving her, but I just don't know, man. Like, it's unfortunate in so many different ways. You have Bond literally dangling above shark-infested waters, seemingly. You have Fushi trapped inside an iron cube. I mean, Kaoku maybe can do something, I'm not exactly sure, but this was an episode. This one, it threw me for a loop, and I might go as far to say the most memorable To Your Eternity episode, hands down, and even surpassing the whole casual he can revive deal, which they even touch upon more in this episode. Makes a lot of sense, and we knew the soul had to be there. It was just very obvious, in my opinion, after last week. But something that Bond brings up, which I didn't really consider, but I think would make sense, is that he also has to know the person when they were alive. So not only would the soul need to be around, he would probably have to also know the person, because all he brought back was the corpse, right? It looked pretty disgusting. Where the girl from last week, he got to talk and interact with prior to the death. So there was actually a person there, so he could replicate the body, as injured as it was. The soul comes back in and everything's healed. The illness that was basically plaguing her was no more. She mentioned, like, she no longer had pain. So there's definitely some interesting limitations, but the concept of bringing people back, it's only a matter of when, not if, Fushi does it. And it's interesting, right? Because once the soul returns to, the new body that he makes, most likely he couldn't transform back into that person again. So he would have to do it when, one, he knows he's safe, but two, the souls themselves are willing to give up the gift that they kind of gave Fushi in a lot of ways, which Tanari I still think would be one of the last to do so, but only time will tell, right? But I really liked what this episode did, because there's some hard-hitting moments in this episode. I mean, Bond definitely stabbed Fushi in the back, or was going to, but when you look at it from, a wannabe king's perspective, you have to put the needs of your family and the kingdom before your feelings of an immortal boy, right? He got manipulated into doing something that obviously I disagreed with, because a king has to do what's best for his kingdom. And when you have the church blackmailing you, it's not even about the church saying they would prop him up as king, it's the fact that the church is saying, like, your family will suffer if you try to stand in our way. It's like, it's no wonder he did that, but also it's, you know, he's realizing that he has been using Fushi in his own way. So it's going to be an interesting reunion when Bond and him meet back up, because I feel like even if Bond did die here, like, do you keep Bond gone? There's no way. He's such an amazing character, and you can't bring up the concept of revival without at least keeping him around for a little bit, even if he did bite the dust sort of a thing. But the Kaku stuff, I'm sure people are going to meme or going to like say, oh, you know, Heisei's descendants are all creepy, but like, I love the fact that for Kaku, who didn't know what Heisei did to the form that he's attracted to see that shattering realization, and the fact that for Fushi, he doesn't actually have a body of his own. The most you could say is probably the boy's body from episode 1 of season 1, but even then, like, you know, the fact that Heisei did such disgusting things, the fact that this boy is seemingly like in love with this body, and just the disgust from it, right? Like, that's one of the souls that isn't sticking around, so we can't really say for sure how she would react, unlike other characters who we can sometimes see the souls of from Bond's perspective. But I love the fact that we go from this like lovey-dovey clingy scene to being like, holy shit, like, I had no idea, but thank you for telling me. I feel disgusting that my ancestor did that to you, sort of a thing. It's a really powerful moment and really effective at really showing that Fushi isn't his own person. He carries the burden of so many, and the fact that he can't truly live a life for himself while feeling guilt for other people and hatred for what's happened to them, it's a very interesting conundrum. The thing I'm obviously most interested in is how long Fushi will be inside that block. I mean, at first when he was breathing fire, I actually didn't think it was that bad of an idea. The only thing I think he did wrong was he probably should have transformed into like the bear or something, you know, because if he heated it up and then had a good force to it and kept flipping back and forth, that might have been enough to maybe break free prior to that. But also, in theory, he does have like a bird form, so if he would have just waited till they opened it up and obviously started pouring, he might have been able to get out that way. But when you're literally trapped in an iron cube, I mean, you're not gonna think, oh, what if they open up the hatch in an hour or 5 minutes? You're gonna immediately try to get out of there. So in the moment, he probably did the best he could in the panic state he is, and the fact that the Watcher just casually counts, he's like, even I could feel that. Bro has no chill, but holy shit, like, this shit was on fire, both literally and figuratively, and I don't know where we go. I really, really don't. I mean, the fact that the church went as far as they did, it says a lot about them. I mean, you knew you couldn't trust them in general. You can't trust these damn churches in shows in general. Like, they always become so messed up. But this shit takes it to a next level, man, that I'm just like, I mean, I understand when you see someone bring back the corpse and, you know, it looks like a devil doing it, but like, for poor Fushi, man, just manipulated. I thought the body was going to come back alive, but maybe be like zombified still, but instead they took it to a level I just didn't expect, nor did I think many people. I mean, characters being burned alive, I've seen that before. It's the fact that you did it to an immortal, and the fact that the immortal had to suffer over and over to then be hardened into like this steel, this iron. It's just so beyond messed up, and I kind of love it, but hate it all at the same time. Thoughts and feelings yourself down below. What did you think, and how do you think Fushi's gonna get out of this predicament? Do let me know. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here. You can also check out the Patreon, full live reaction available as I mentioned, video shoutouts, a bunch of other fun things as well, so consider it if you so wish. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.